you have your theoretical contribution, your practical contribution. I definitely agree that certain projects are going to be, I guess, sexier topics for the funders because you're able to say, wow, I'm going to not only be able to address this theoretical issue, but I'm also going to be able to come up with a product that's going to have recommendations to advance business or advance the economy or advance healthcare. So I agree, some disciplines are at a disadvantage in the funding sphere the way it's set up right now. So you're right, I think some people have the luxury of, hey, we're sitting here with a lot of money, and we can sit in our department with a lot of infrastructure, and it would be great if we could get somebody that knows how to do a nice videography or cinematography so they can maybe film what we're doing. But I think that more is I think there's a difference between interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, and that distinction becomes really blurred. You know, multidisciplinary, I think, is what was described taking a class. I'm a historian, I'm taking an English class. I'm multidisciplinary, I'm getting more knowledge. Interdisciplinary, I think that really, you can't just attach it to anything, like what you were saying before. It has to be for a certain issue. It's not just for the sake of being interdisciplinary. It's not just, hey, I'm going to just hang out with another faculty. That's not good enough. If the issue or the project or the question you're asking is relevant for an interdisciplinary approach, then fine. And then I agree with you. I think some departments may be set up more strategic than others to get the funding to answer that.
And also to that, because I mean, if you look at this again, I love this. If you look at some areas are larger than the others, I mean, you have a lopsided approach. For instance, I know in engineering, some professors are very willing to expand their boundaries, whereas some are not. And you do have that kind of, that can get a problem. And especially if you're trying to work with another department who is maybe not as disciplinary, interdisciplinary, I should say, than the other department, because then they feel like there's an encroachment. There's a territoriality that's going to be built with that. And I feel that's just a negative aspect that's going to come up more and more as some try to broaden it to a certain degree. And I don't know if that can be rectified or not. It's just something that's inherent in getting so large. Like if you were a big wheel almost overtaking the other wheel, why not become a unicycle? You know, like you got to change the model. So yeah, what do you guys think? Feedback to it?
Yeah, to go back to another SSHRC example, I remember thinking when I was writing my proposal, having this sort of like this anxiety because there was a distinct, not distinct, there was a significant possibility that there was going to be somebody reading this application that, so they stress, use a common language, which I find, I mean, it's a problem, right? There's this notion that you have to kind of, throw out what you're doing and try and put it in a way so, like, somebody, say, a geographer can understand what you're doing. And
we're slow.
Thank you. Down to our level.
Anyway, yeah, but it's
done. Oh, you're not getting away with that. You said it already.
It's just that we exclude everybody else. Biology, we call it crow something else just because that way we can only speak with our buddies.
Well, but I think the deeper, for me the deeper question is, how can we have an interdisciplinarity without having to speak a common language? Like, how can we have this thing that a lot of us see as being important, and I think we all see it differently, which is again is the thing. But we're all a part of some community, and we're sharing a space, and we're indulging in ideas, and we're trying to create something that, I mean, realistically has never been done before because no one's done it like we've been able to do it. So
the Renaissance scholars.
Oh, well, I guess the Renaissance. Yeah, but I think okay.
I was just going to say that language thing. They're taking you take bits of each other's language, you learn new words, you stick it all together, you make this mishmash language that's kind of common enough to be able to get by, but you're still going to go back to your own little home. And you end up with something that's like a mutant, right? It's kind of a mutant sort of working process.
That's why academics make up words all the time.
Right, yeah. But that's fine when you're trying to create the thing you're doing, the bit of research or the performance or the study or the whatever, the change, the policy change. You're doing it, you're creating it, you're fine, and then you go to talk about it with someone else, and you go to get funding for it, and you go to whatever, and you've got this mutant language. You have to try and then go back to your discipline and frame it inside that for somebody everybody who's inside that to understand it, or, you know, so it's a kind of weird process of like what you need to do to get stuff done and what you need to do to get funding or to get work or to get, you know, how to then translate that or make sense of that, you know.
No one said it's going to be easy, right? It's going to be more hard to do it, so.
Hard science.
And then in terms of going from a different undergrad to a different master's, if that's what you want to do, then you should do it. Getting internal funding is much easier than getting external funding when you're interdisciplinary. But it's a selling point to be a student who's interdisciplinary.
You got another question?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we can kind of step back even a little bit further and just look at the university. I'm thinking about, you know, this actually some of the ideas that you said, Rebecca, this idea that we are no discipline. And I think we can all relate to that. I think we can all say, you know, as children, we didn't see ourselves as historians all along, right? And aren't we all kind of in between? We talk about the most sustainable societies, and they actually weren't thinking, you know, one leg, two legs, three legs, right? Most sustainable societies live amongst making the decisions based on culture and experience. And so I'm wondering here, when we have our problems that all seem to be existing at the periphery, we have a university that really praises the expert. And I mean, we can talk about interdisciplinary. I think everybody likes that word, like we like the word sustainability. But if we talk about interdisciplinary, we're still looking for writing papers, right? And we can't, if we're going to write a paper, we have to write a paper on something that makes us different from everybody else. We need to be that expert. And so my question really is, do we need to do more research? What is the role of this university? Do you guys see the university really solving the big problems that we're trying to face? Or are we, as a mentor of mine says, are we just moving the chairs on the Titanic, right? You know, and I think that's a really question of it. Like, I mean, I actually just completed a PhD in engineering. I didn't have a single equation in the thesis. And I'm very interdisciplinary, I guess, in the big picture. But I'm going a little bit crazy and trying to understand how I fit into this institution. How can I solve some of these bigger problems, or how can I be a part of it? And I want to put that question out to you guys. Where is this university really the model that we need?